The stock market is collapsing to the downside with 2 consecutive days of 5% declines. And very interestingly, this is happening while Bitcoin is still holding up quite well. And compared to the stock market, Bitcoin is breaking out. So I will be telling you exactly what this means for the Bitcoin price, what is about to happen next. This will be very important because a lot of bears are about to get wrecked and a lot of bears will regret selling over here. But as always, let's start off with the short term. And in the short term, Bitcoin is trading inside of another weekend, and Bitcoin usually tends to consolidate at around that CME close price, which in this case is approximately sitting at the 82.8k level. So consolidation at around this level during the course of the weekend is going to be very likely. Anyways, Bitcoin is holding up very well, still above this level of support, above that golden pocket Fibonacci level of support, which is actually quite surprising because the stock market is literally crashing to the downside. We have been seeing 2 consecutive days of 5% declines for the stock market, which has only basically happened before in 2008 during the financial collapse and today. Now also 2 times before that in October 1987 and October 1929. Right now it's happening again, and yeah, this is not looking bright. This is not looking good. Even during the COVID collapse, we haven't seen this bad of a performance. Now this whole crash which is happening is basically being caused because of the Trump tariffs. Now Jerome Powell isn't really coming to save us at this current moment still. He isn't really coming to help us as of yet, which a lot of people did hope for. Now he has basically just stated that the probability of a recession is rising. On top of that, he has stated that these tariffs are going to be increasing inflation, which is not what the Fed wants. We want lower inflation, which will in return cause lower interest rates. So yeah, anyways, this hasn't been looking good for the markets, and we can definitely see this in the stock market. But for the Bitcoin price, we are still holding up quite well. I mean, the Bitcoin price hasn't been seeing this insane crash to the downside, right? We have still been just holding up pretty well, and it is very much looking like the Bitcoin price is just decoupling with the stock market, which is exactly what we want. We have seen this one time in the past in 2023, August of 2023, and exactly after that has happened, we have seen Bitcoin exploding to the upside. And this happened over here. We saw the stock market going to the downside, while Bitcoin has still been holding up quite nicely over here. Initially, of course, Bitcoin has been seeing this dump. Then Bitcoin has been holding up quite nicely over here. And after that has happened, Bitcoin started to pump to the upside, while the stock market was still going to the downside. We saw a decoupling with the Bitcoin price and the stock market price, just like we are seeing now. And then eventually Bitcoin started to pump to the upside. The stock market was also reversing back to the upside. And that was the moment where Bitcoin started to explode to the upside and never looked back. So yeah, right now, basically the same exact thing is just happening all over again, but arguably even on a larger scale, because this stock market dump, which we are seeing now, is much more significant than we saw over here, for example. This dump to the downside was very small compared to this big dump, which we are seeing right now. Anyways, when we compare the stock market price to the Bitcoin chart, we saw this breakout, of course, over here in October 2023. We saw this decoupling. Bitcoin started to outperform the stock market. And yeah, after this breakout, we got lots and lots more continuation to the upside. Right now, the same exact thing is basically repeating all over again. We are seeing a breakout. We are seeing the Bitcoin price outperforming the stock market price. And usually after this breakout, we can see this trend moving forward for the coming few days, to the coming few weeks, to even the coming few months. These moves tend to be very aggressive, and I think that whenever the stock market is going to be just showing ever so slight strength, an ever so slight bounce back to the upside, because that is going to be imminent. I mean, we will not go down forever in a straight line. we are going to be seeing counter trend reversals, we are going to be seeing bounces, and even if the stock market is just going to be bouncing slightly to the upside over here, then still going to be entering a bear market. But even if the stock market is going to be seeing this bounce, I think that Bitcoin is going to be exploding over here, just like it did during the last time in October 2023. And keep in mind that this is just going to be the worst case scenario, that the stock market is going to be entering a bear market over here. Because yeah, the stock market has been crashing. It has been losing market structure, right? It's not been looking very good for the stock market. So yeah, this is just the worst case scenario, that the stock market is going to be entering a bear market. But even if we're going to be entering a bear market, well, we never tend to go down in a straight line. We're still going to be seeing counter trend rallies. And whenever that happens, I think that Bitcoin will be showing its strength, just like we have seen in the past. So let me know what you think about that. I mean, the Bitcoin data, the Bitcoin charts are still looking very good. Remember back in December 2024, when the Bitcoin liquidity was actually signaling this top, well, nobody believed in it. But now the global liquidity is signaling a bottom. And once again, nobody believes we will turn around. I mean, literally everybody is fearful. Everybody is bearish at this current moment. The Bitcoin market sentiment is still trading at these levels of fear. Nobody is believing that we can turn around again. Nobody believes that we can be flipping this downtrend into an uptrend again. But this is exactly the time where I want to be buying. I think bears are going to be very wrong over here. Now, yes, I do still think that we should be a little bit more patient. I've been outlining different scenarios in the past, right? And if we're just going to be having a look into the past again, when we break such a significant market structure, it does take a little bit of time. If we're going to be outlining, first, let me turn on the log scale. If we are going to be outlining possible scenarios, we could be having a look into this price action over here, where first we break market structure and then we reverse to the upside again. But it first takes some time before we bottom out. It takes about typically 3 months before we really put in that bottom. Now, another scenario I really like is going to be this bear market low. And in this case as well, it's going to be taking a little bit longer than most people think and most people anticipate before we really set that bottom and really bottom out. Now, another scenario would be in the last bull market during this stage over here. This one is also very similar, but in this scenario as well, it took a little bit of time before eventually the Bitcoin market really bottomed out. And even in this scenario as well, we set a triple bottom and then bottomed out, right? These could all be very possible scenarios. However, do keep in mind, it's going to be just taking a little bit longer than most people anticipate before we really bottom out and set that bottom, which is also exactly what the global liquidity is indicating us. Now, because of this, as a result, I am going to be waiting very patiently. I'm going to be waiting until we're going to be breaking this falling wedge pattern. We're going to be breaking this downtrending level of resistance. That is going to be my entry, and that is going to be the point where I think the reversal is going to be into play and we're going to be turning around. But history is still exactly repeating. I do like this scenario very well of 2023, of October 2023, where we also outperformed the stock market. We also decoupled with the stock market over here. I like this scenario very well. I mean, the price action is exactly the same. The sentiment is exactly the same, and I have talked about this exactly in my video of 2 days ago, so go ahead and watch that video if you have not already. Anyways, yeah, history looks to be just repeating over here. We're just creating another falling wedge pattern. It's looking very good. We're just going to be awaiting another break to the upside, and that is going to be our signal of our reversal. We're just creating, once again, another triple bottom. If we're going to be confirming this bottom over here, we are going to be creating an inverse head and shoulders pattern. That could be looking very good. If we're going to be zooming out still, this Bitcoin hash ribbons are flashing at this current moment. We're just getting so many bullish signals, but everyone seems to be ignoring it. Everyone just seems to be fearful at this current moment. The sentiment is very bad, but this is usually exactly the time where we want to be buying. We have been doing it so many times in the past, and we are about to do it again. So if you're going to be getting interested in trading this yourself as well, make sure to be checking out that first link down below, because with the first link down below, you can be claiming $150 completely for free. And with this free money, you can be opening up your free trade. Anyways, a lot of people are still talking about the fact that we're going to be hitting a bear market for Bitcoin, and that Bitcoin is going to be entering this bear market. But I do not think so at all. I still think we're going to be reaching new all-time highs. It's going to be highly and highly likely, in my personal opinion, because literally 0 out of the 30 of these bull market peak indicators have been getting hit. A lot of people are fearful again. A lot of people have a bearish sentiment. A lot of people do think we have hit this bear market already. But this is generally a very good moment to buy inside of a bull market. I mean, the statistics, the facts are there, and they are still pointing bullish. We can still easily go on until about November or December of this year for this bull market and then see our cycle top. We can easily do so even when the stock market is going to be topping out. Even when the stock market is going to be topping out, I still do think we have that possibility that Bitcoin is just going to be going even further to the upside. I mean, the fundamentals are there for Bitcoin to just pump even further. The charts are indicating the same exact thing. So still looking very good. I'm not going to be freaking out. Yes, the stock market is seeing a heavy correction, but I just think it is going to be very good. Buy the dip opportunity again. So guys, with that being said, if you like this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, stay up to date about every single market development on my X profile, and guys, I'll see you in another update video tomorrow morning.